Rise above the pack of beggars. Way back in the day, long before agriculture, there was a very clear transition point. This is a very, very hard thing to imagine today, but if you force your mind on this idea, it will be helpful. Back then, everybody was almost always hungry. The only time people weren't hungry was when they were eating a big animal. This was probably the absolute best experience for ancient humans. The killers stalked and finally brought down a huge animal. The never-ending hunger and ever-present fear of starving to death that was always right behind it was temporarily gone. This was when all the tribe was together, happy, and enjoying themselves. But for most of life, hunger was always there. So the idea of production and consumption was always there as well. For dudes, the more you produced in excess of what you consumed, the more valuable you were. The more alpha you were, the more people would look at you with admiration. If you were capable of hunting but had a losing streak, there would be growing guilt of consuming without producing. Today, everybody feels entitled to free stuff. Everybody feels entitled to live off everybody else. Everybody can look out into the world, point out problems, and wait around for somebody else to come and fix those problems. Back then, that kind of thinking would get you left behind. If you believed it was somebody else's responsibility to do the hard work and all you needed to do was consume, you'd be kicked out. If not kicked out, no lady would want anything to do with you. Alphas did most of the killing. This meant they provided the most calories. That got them the most social validation. The social validation that drove the sexual desire in the young ladies. This was a perfectly calibrated system. Babies were made from the hottest, healthiest, and youngest ladies with the biggest killers. This tribal replication strategy would ensure the highest probability of survival. So what would it feel like if you were a kid like 8 or 9 years old? You couldn't wait to become a killer. The tribe couldn't wait for you to become a killer. From a purely selfish standpoint, the sooner you could become a killer, the more you'd be getting the hero respect. From a purely selfish standpoint, the sooner you could become a killer, the more likely you'd get a girlfriend. From the tribal standpoint, the sooner you got out there and did some killing, the less likely they would starve. Everybody would be conspiring to make that transition, the one from child to adult. Children ask and hope to receive. Adults go out and make it happen. Today, very, very few people make the transition, which is why nearly everybody is waiting for somebody else to do all the hard work. What does this mean? This means if you make the decision to leave the childhood mindset behind, you will have very little competition, which will allow you to get all the money, get all the love, get all the admiration, and get all the sex you want. To learn how, visit mindpersuasion.com/3x3.